Hi guys, Mr. Jaeger here, and welcome back to our little old IAE Expo. This is day 7. Good God. This is basically, if you haven't watched the episode before, or this at all, basically I'm going to go through a variety of ships that are made available by the certain developer, and depending on what day it is, and basically my limited knowledge of the vessels I give to you, and then my opinions on said vessels, and then if I get the chance, I basically take what vessels I want to take out for a spin, and then be able to sort of have little funsies with them and all that jazz, hopefully to make a video, or a series of videos sometime next week, or whenever I get the chance to do them. So, and if you're wanting to see previous days, I have done all of the days up till this point. They are currently listed down below in that ever-growing description tree. It was lovely on the first couple of days, but now it's just, oh god, it's a whole huge mountain. So anyway, whilst we're at the IAE, we are now going from the noble and the true, glorious heroes to the downright evil bastards known as Drake Interplanetary, arg. So, yes, here it is, Drake Interplanetary. Arguably, though, one of the more entertaining and glorious ship manufacturers in the verse. Ironically, also, the ship, I mean, despite them all the time... Start again. Despite my lack of knowledge of many ships up to this point, I actually have a somewhat reasonable amount of knowledge on these particular vessels, which is hilarious. Drake Interplanetary, for those who don't know, is basically a more simplified, not exactly lower in budget, in terms of like poor quality ships, but you know, they aren't the flashy, they're not the, you know, they're not the flashy ones like Orion or the sort of weird looking like the Esperias or the Banus, but instead they are pretty much do what needs to be done sort of ships. And as such, for me, I have almost, like, this company, along with Aegis, are just like my two lovebirds. I'm like, oh, yes, no, these particular ships I'm loving. So, to start off with, let's talk about the ground transport first. Or, well, technically not the ground transport, because it can be used in space. This is the Drake Dragonfly. This particular vehicle was fairly famous, because it was one of the first few ground vehicles that was made available in Star Citizen. I do remember when this particular vehicle was released. It was quite a popular vehicle at the time. I think it was because all the teasing and all the sort of, it's a hover bike and, you know, you've got guns on a hover bike sort of thing. For me personally, I am about it. I'm not such a huge fan of the hover bikes. I'm more of a car person, so this thing, or well, I'm a ground transport thing, but no, it utilizes mag repulsor lifts to float, and obviously big giant jet. And each of these particular types, there's the Dragonfly, then there's the Yellow Jacket, and then finally you've got Star Kitten. There is no real difference between any three of these. It's just the paint job, really. So if you want to go Moe Q, or you know, like industrial, or if you wanted to go sleek and sexy, then by all means, there's no real difference between the two. Though this does, if you do wish to get what's over in the distance there, as you can see by the text, this particular vessel will actually come with that, which will go into further details. So anyway, let's before we get on to one of the ships that I'm wanting, but pricing is a little bit, like, I went onto the website before I recorded this and I'm like, can I get this vessel? Can I get this vessel? And the thing was like, yes you can! And I'm like, I can get it! And it costs 70 quid if you upgrade. And I'm like, fuck, I can't get it. Oh no, but that is a goal. Next year, Buccaneer. Next year. Anyway, first of all, though, let's look at this, the Drake Herald. Now, I do not know a lot about this ship. This is one of the few ships I actually get access to seeing, because it almost looks like a hull C, at least from the front to the midsection. But this is, like, I'm going to assume a low-quality transporter, though, unfortunately, I don't quite know. I'd have to make some kind of... He says, oh, I know a lot about these things. This is one of the few ships I honestly don't know a lot about, which is a shame. It's only because I've not actually seen much of these things. This is actually the first time I've seen this vessel up close. I've seen it in the distance occasionally, but to my knowledge, what this is some kind of transporter slash cargo vessel. I would love to get in and have a look, though, because it does look really nice. I mean, I've got the thing rented at the moment, so I will be definitely taking a look at this vessel to get a much more in-depth view of this thing. In fact, what I might do, considering how many ships are actually here, I might make a little special extra, this is what's inside, sort of deal. So, we'll get onto that in a moment, but no, this vessel looks pretty dope. It's got limited amounts of armament, but that's not what the ship's role is. It's probably a transporter slash mini cargo ship sort of thing. So, but again, simple in design, but does what it needs to do, which is really awesome. So going over to here, this beauty. Oh, yeah, my style of ship is very obvious, isn't it? You know, 2 giant engines, multiple guns, including one big fucker at the top. You've got missiles, you've got, you know, it's literally guns. Okay, so if Russia still existed in this universe, this is the kind of ship they would build. It's like, comrade, what is best? Put 2 giant engines outside, great wings for guns primarily, and then we put giant fuck-off machine gun on top. It looks glorious. Absolutely fantastic. This, of course, is the Buccaneer. It has, obviously, a size 3 to 4 gun on the top. It's got 2 size 2 to 3 laser repeaters, 2 size 1 ballistic machine guns, and it looks absolutely fucking glorious. I'm definitely going to be giving you a bit of a spin when I get the chance. Yeah, it just aesthetically, it's one of those ships that I very much enjoy. I've yet to see it on sale. Normally, I think this is one of the few times where you can get it, unless they're going to be changing the policy regarding this selling this ship. If I can get this ship when I next get paid, yes, I will definitely get that ship because it is very, very nice. Anyway, so again, that'll definitely be on the I've played with this ship and I've had a look at it and I want it in my life and everything, but it's so good. So anyway, going on to the next half of the Drake Interplanetary League, there is only 2 more ships to go through now, like unlike yesterday where I had fuckloads. It's a nice change of pace. So first of all, let's go to the ship that kind of doesn't need an introduction, because either A, you've heard of it, B, you've seen it, or C, you've heard and seen it. This is the Drake Cutlass Black. This was the vessel that I told you about, the Drake Dragonfly, because there is a package deal where you can get the Drake Cutlass Black and the Dragonfly for a combo deal, which is actually a pretty good price. Also, the Drake Cutlass Black is probably one of the more infamous slash legendary ships in the verse. It's relatively cheap in comparison to many other vessels. It's like 100 for, and admittedly this is real world money going into it, and this is UK pounds, so I don't know how much it is in euros or dollars, but you can always see the conversion. But this ship costs 110 quid, which if you look at it and its functionality, it's actually not that bad a price. It's got a turreted section on the top with 2 size 3 to 4 cannons. You've got a whole host of cannons on the top as well. You've got, I believe, size 3 to 4 ballistic autocannons. You've got laser repeaters on the bottom. There are also missiles on this ship somewhere. I cannot remember where. But every time I fought this thing with the AI, it somehow gets missiles launched at me, so I'm assuming there is missiles on this ship. This particular ship is incredibly handy. It's incredibly fast. It's got 2 giant engines which can work into VTOL as well as provide extra awesome boost. I also believe there is some kind of engine component in the... Is it not? No, it's just the flying mechanics of it. Yeah, so it is just the 2 engines. That's fine. So yeah, the 2 engines... I'm convinced there are more engines in this area, but I could just be going mad. It probably is me going mad. Anyway, 2 engines which can either be turned from, as you can see, VTOL to horizontal. It's got a large cargo space which allows you to do some minor cargo runs. It obviously also acts as a transport for the infantry and maybe some small vehicles. Let's actually have a look at the back of the vessel. It is, as said, exceptionally fast in both space and on Atmo, because one of the things that the ships sort of will be talking about, you know, when you go into space versus atmosphere. Some of the ships you have in space can go over like 1,200 meters per second. It's really fast. But when you put them into the Atmo, they become a little bit more sluggish, air resistance, depending on much whatever. Whereas this ship is like, doesn't care. It'll still punch over 1,000 kilometers near the ground surface, and it is absolutely fantastic. And again, Drake Interplanetary is often oozing not style or sort of fancy sort of systems. It is quite simply a very simple budget bash it job, and that is what I love about the aesthetics of Drake Interplanetary. Ever since starting this game, I've fallen in love with the shit-looking ships internally. The wiring, the exposed coupling, the cable ties, the little plastic bags on the side that they utilize for insulation, the very basic flooring that just allows you easy access to all the important components, the simple buttons for opening and the closing. It can be customized quite effectively, and I'm sure in the future we can probably end up getting mountings for the guns. Crew-wise, you've got a crew of two beds, one co-pilot, one pilot seat, which we'll go into in a bit. You've got weapon racks set up. You've got limited, and I mean limited amounts of sort of hygienics or whatever. This ship isn't really meant to be lived in. It's generally to get you from A to B. Let's see if we can actually get into the turret as well. So let's just go up to the top there. And there we go. So simple, but absolutely glorious. Yeah, the voiceover for this ship is really good, and the HUD, which I will go to later on, is absolutely fantastic. But the turret placement on the ship is actually also quite useful, considering you'll be it's only one turret, but it can serve to be quite good. In terms of... Oh, that's actually kind of cool. New camera view. Shiny! It's a kind of shiny. But yeah, no, it looks absolutely fantastic. I quite like this turret design. It's quite... And the view from the turret is actually really good, except to get to there, of course. But most turrets don't seem to be as open or as easily to look out of, whereas with this one, again, it's simple. It's simple, and I love it. And that's mostly what Drake Interplanetary is about. Simplicity at all costs. Or, in this case, not much cost. So, going over to the pilot's area, cockpit, you will see two seats. The co-pilot doesn't really do anything. It's just a seat to sit into. So really, if you're going to be working with someone with the Drake Interplanetary, you might as well be on the gunner seat and do whatever. But maybe in the future, it is hoped maybe we can have more functionality or more uses to the co-pilot, like, for example, managing shields or managing equipment or stuff. I mean, you can do that already now, but there's not really a lot of choices or whatever, because most of the time we're not really... It's not quintessential at this point. So anyway, pilot seat is at the front, and it gets a nice little raised platform. Let's listen to this one again. Ah, okay. One sec.
Weapons offline. Hello and welcome aboard your Drake Interplanetary craft. Your systems are online.
Very good voices. The only voice... I'd say this is my favourite voice AI-wise in the game. The only other voice, AI voice in a game that is like, ooh... has to be the one from Eve Old Style, like warp drive active. That really sort of sensual sort of like, and now I need a sock. Anyway, so the other thing I really love about this particular ship, apart from its incredibly good MFD displays, like all the information you need to have is right in front of you. That's one of the small complaints I have about some of the other vessels that I have. For example, the Freelancer... also the Titan Avenger, is the MFDs are kind of almost out of sight to a point where they're out of sight enough, though while they may be in front of you, you'd have to look quite further. You'd have to look down quite a bit before your character can easily see the MFDs. Whereas with the Drake Cutlass, it has, all of the essentials are right in front of you. All the information you need to be able to utilize stuff is there, and it is really good. The radar screen's quite large, and you still get, regardless of the fact that you have all these things, you still get a really good view around you inside the cockpit, which I absolutely love. It's a fantastic style cockpit, and again, simplicity and effectiveness working in tandem to become an extremely practical cockpit. Oh, I love it. Anyway, Obviously, you can tell I kind of like have a slight bias towards Drake Interplanetary, so I don't care if they're pirates dealing. They deal with pirates. More of these ships, please. Anyway, another good thing that you may notice, which is a lovely bug, but to be honest with you, this bug I really wish we could actually turn into a feature, is the MFD displays on the Drake Cutlass, as well as many other ships, is it has this lovely green Fallout style text, which most times, in fact, 9 times out of 10, is far easier, in my eyes case, to be able to look at than, say, the soft aqua light blue colours of a Freelancer or the Aegis Titan Avenger. And for me, I really wish Star Citizen had customizable HUD colours, so you could choose what colour your ship had, because otherwise, you know, while you need to have the distinctive branding, if you will, it does make it, you know, some ships make it incredibly hard to see where things are going when there's the sun or when you're going onto a planet. It's just, it's nasty. Anyway, speaking of nasty, going on to the last ship in the display. Unfortunately, I think we've got a slight texture glitch going on with this, because this normally isn't there. That's what you're normally meant to see, but that for some reason is all there, but that's fine. This, of course, is quite a famous transport. This is the Drake Caterpillar. This is one of the first few vessels to be completely dedicated towards cargo transporting, and it also has the unique perspective of being the first ship that you need, finger quote, a multi-crew for in order to operate. Because most vessels, you know, the Cutlass Black, the Wardens, even the 390 jump, actually, but not the 390 jump, that's a bit of a stretch. But most vessels, you can generally run on your own. While it won't run optimally, it'll still run. Whereas with this ship, you do need people to watch stowaways, people to man the guns, people to keep on security. It actually does require the multi-crew in order to operate really at all. And this is an exceptionally awesome thing. It's a good thing to have this. While you could argue that's a bad point, because it means then if I don't have any friends, then I'm buggered. But there are going to be plenty of people who will happily sit and watch just guarding these things, or, you know, having a nice conversation. So, and also don't forget you've got organisations like BSI who are more than willing to work with you to protect your assets as we are going. So going on to the actual description of the ship, the Caterpillar, the Drake Interplanetary Caterpillar, is a cargo vessel, style in a more modularized system. So let's go to the cargo bays, which of this has numerous cargo bays. They're all the same size, and they also have the ability of opening up, as you can see, on both sides, meaning that there's not really any issue when it comes to discussing where you load the cargo. The only downside, if there is a downside, is that you can't. There is not one giant cargo bay which allows for like one vehicle to come through. So you'd have to like compartmentalize it, which, depending on how you feel, yes or no, is kind of a good thing. But yeah, this thing is pretty good, and it has a larger sort of runway access, which we'll get to in a second. But it's pretty much the same design a few times before we get towards the front of the bow section of the ship. But no, this particular ship can carry fuckloads of cargo, making anyone who wants to become a supply runner quite a bit of money if they can, you know, brave the dangerous waters. But no, this is the only cargo bay with a retractable front door. And as I said, unfortunately, we've got some texture issues going on over there, but it's fine. Many Caterpillars at the moment are out there, and it does look pretty good. So, as I said, there is a second floor for people to get into, which is pretty nice. Similar design. The only thing at the front is that you not only get access to close the door, the bow section of the ship, but you also get access to the turret at the front of the ship, which is pretty dope. So you can run security through these things, maybe if you want to lock things down. And as I said, all of these sections are sealed off. So, for example, if the worst case scenario came along and you got shot or you rammed by someone and your front half of the ship's gone, you can seal off the front area. You can seal off that area and hopefully be able to limp your way back into port, depending on how you want to go with it. So, going into the more habitational sides of the ship, you've got the server room inside it. Again, very simple, but very effective. You've got the power system, then you've got the jump drive access. So there's a fair amount of stuff that you can and cannot access on the ship. A little easy for someone wanting to break in, because they're like, oh, how do I break into this? Oh, look, there's the server access. Let me just hack into your computers there. So, it's dependent, very dependent. Where does this go? Oh, there's a staircase here. I haven't actually fully explored this vessel. Oh, there's the... Oh, no, this... Oh! I never knew that door was there. I'm such an idiot. Oh, wow. But yeah, this will probably be where the engineer's staying. Obviously, two giant engines, a bit like an old... it's a bit like an old U-boat in this regard. Going into the center hallway it's a bit. I'll be honest with you. It's a bit of a confusion sometimes. Like for example, you won't 100% be like, where the hell am I, or wherever things are. But once you get used to the once you get used to the layouts, you'll be able to see what You'll be able to understand where things are going. Same style cockpit as the Drake the Cutlass. So pilot, co-pilot, but there's a few more support stations going on now. Maybe security at some point, and a nice little tiny like ladder down towards the crew habitation area, which is nice. Also, they've got some computer aspect. You've got the tractor beam, which not entirely sure what the tractor beam would be utilized in with this ship, but it's cool. It's an optional feature. The shower is very basic. The cooker is very basic. It's not designed to be luxurious, but it's designed to make it work. And as always, Drake Interplanetary knows how to make things work. Except ladders, apparently, because my character's being retarded. And no captain's chair, though, sadly. But I suppose these kind of ships is all about equality more than who has the certain role and who doesn't. Right, so... oh, there we go. So there's also an observer section here of the ship, which looks pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. There are a couple of defenses, of course. We've got some turrets at the top of the ship, as well as whatever. Once again, tractor beam access. Maybe it's designed to hold something in place while you blow it up with your turrets. Who knows? But I have faced this thing, and this particular in combat a number of times, and she does have quite a lot of shielding. So if you are planning on taking one on, be sure to take a crew with you, or a ship with a big enough gun to knock everything else out on it, because otherwise you're kind of going up the shit creek without a paddle. But no, that is pretty much it for... Oh, there's the other turret. So no, that's pretty much it for the Drake Interplanetary series of ships. Absolutely fun. Hang on, let me go over here. But no, that's pretty much it for the Drake Interplanetary. A good number of ships, definitely, and a really nice looking ships on the thing. The Buccaneer, I just love. It's close to being my favorite ship alongside the Cutlass Black. And again, these particular vessels are, I would say the Cutlass Black in particular is probably one of the gems of the Star Citizen verse, and were it not for the fact that it was also utilized by pirates a lot, it would probably be the gem star that they would be proudly portraying. But because this particular vessel is so susceptible to being used as because this ship has been used by pirates all over the place, I'm sure CIG were like going, yeah, we can't big this ship up because it's bad guy ship. We don't want bad guy ship to be looking good. They're bad guys. So, yes, sadly, that is going to be that's not going to be as much of a popular ship as previously hoped. But who knows? Maybe it may make a spot in the limelight and stay there. After all, the in-game character. Well, when I say game character, the in-game the in-game company is being handled by someone who wants to try and improve the corporation and remove the sort of taint of piracy. But whether or not they'll accomplish that, long to be waited see. But no, that's going to be it for this particular section. So, without further ado, we'll snap over to having a look at the Herald before wrapping this video up. I'll see you then. And we're back, going towards the Herald, as we make our way towards the testing grounds, which is primarily around Port Olisar or Delamar. We now finally get a chance to have access. There we go. So let's open the door. See what happens. Woo! Okay. Let's get in. Right, so this is the Herald. Oh, wow. So it's a 2 crew. Nice. And it looks like there's a... You actually have to pull that up in order to get off. So technically it's 2 crew. At least towards... from what I can understand. And it has a shit shower. No, just a shitter. Oh, wow. Okay. So again, very simple in its aesthetics, but very nice regardless. And it's a simple ship. Anyway, so let's get in and make our way around. This is the first time I've ever been in one of these things, actually.
Hello and welcome aboard your Drake Interplanetary craft. Your systems are online.
Oh, look at that UI. Right, it's oh, it's night as well. Great. So, yeah, this is one of the reasons why.
Launch complete.
This is actually kind of cool. So this is one of the reasons why I love this UI. Almost all of it is easy to see, and in space, oh, it's so much better. Oh wow, look at the size of the engines. Jeez. I imagine I'm going to get a fairly decent speed boost in this. Okay, let's see how fast I can go. Holy shit! Okay, not that impressive, unfortunately. Still, looks bloody awesome. Something tells me this is the kind of ship we'll be getting once we study it, but still. Yeah, very simple design, but it works, which is the important thing. Nice. Nice. But yeah, so there you guys have it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and set the route to Port Olisar. It looks like we're actually orbiting as well, which is kind of intriguing. Crusader 414. Gotcha. Anyway, so that's going to be it from me, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And I will hope to see you in the next episode, whereupon... Ooh, we're actually getting quite fast now. 1300. Shit. She can go in space, apparently. That's impressive. So, yes, I hope to see you in the next episode. And, yeah, I'm definitely going to be testing out the Buccaneer. I'm very much looking forward to testing out the Buccaneer. But there, I'll see you guys next time. This is Mr. Jaeger, signing out.